Hello everyone, I hope you're well. My name's Tim Sheehan, editor of the Brewers Journal, and I'm very happy today to be at Hammerton Brewery, and I'm joined by co-founder Lee Hammerton.
Hello.
How are you, Lee?
I'm good. How are you, Tim?
Never better. For my sins, this is my first time here.
Oh, really?
I mean,
So you've never visited
I've drank
us
many
yet?
of your beers, just not at Source, so
that's good.
better late than
Yeah.
never.
Yeah.
Better late than never. And
Thanks for popping down.
No, my pleasure, and I think perfectly timed, really, despite obviously being very late, that 2024 will be marking your 10th anniversary.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the big milestone of 10 years we're finally coming up to. It's been a very interesting journey to get where we are. Obviously, like lots of ups and downs, as every brewer is aware of in the industry, or anyone probably that drinks beer is aware of, perhaps. All the
and we're getting to that point
yeah.
where a lot of breweries are turning 10. Obviously, because we had that sort of explosion, 2013, 2014, 2015, and so on.
Yeah.
But it's great, as I've said before, that doesn't happen by accident. You don't get to 10 years by fluke. So it must be a real point of pride for you.
So we're sort of happy to have managed it this far, and sort of steadily still seeing growth, and the appreciation that we get from our customers and people that try our beer, and we're just chuffed to still be going and still got lots of energy and ideas of to grow the business and keep brewing great beer, hopefully.
And that's what I've always appreciated about Hammerton, is that you make great beers of lots of different styles. You don't really chase trends. You I feel like it comes across as very genuine, that the beers you make are beers that you want to make, you enjoy making, you enjoy drinking, and obviously you hope that your consumer base will do the same.
Yeah, so I think when we initially started out, we like many breweries, I guess, the sort of the variations of beers that you brought out, say 10 years ago, was slightly less. Most people were focusing on IPAs, sometimes stouts as well, lager, sort of, and around those kind of three styles of beers. But that was we had our first year, we kind of really just had a solid core range, and we just brewed those beers. But then after that first year, we started to sort of think about sort of new styles, and just wanted to start doing more interesting and I suppose innovative styles, and like you're saying, beers that we wanted to brew, that we thought that other people might like as well, and just kind of challenging ourselves, really. And the brewers obviously always like brewing new and interesting beers as well. So we've kind of we 10 years ago, the variation, the different styles of beers we do compared to now is just poles apart. So there's we brew everything, really, but the main thing is, when we're sort of brewing new and interesting beers, is ultimately we do have lots of sort of wacky and I don't know, funky style beers sometimes, but ultimately they still need to be drinkable. So that's the main thing for us, is you can have these interesting or exotic ingredients, but they still need to be drinkable and nice. Not just brewing for the sake of brewing something.
Well, consistency and repeatability. I think you get to 10 years by giving people confidence in what you're doing.
Yeah,
and knowing that you're going to get a great pint or a great can each time, and sometimes maybe regardless of style, be like, I will try that because I trust that brewery and I trust them. So dear viewers, today what we've done, we're going to chart the history of Hammerton through several of these beers. There are many more besides, of which you should obviously try if you've not tried before. But where do you want to start? I mean, probably start at the beginning, maybe.
Yeah, so
good point as any.
Yeah, so this is N7. So this was actually was our first beer that we brewed. So way back when, 10 years ago, I guess 12, 13 years ago, when I was thinking of starting a brewery, I wanted to kind of recreate the sort of hoppy American hop style IPAs that I was trying, that I loved. And so that's basically, at the time when we first brewed N7, it was a mega dry hopped IPA back in the day. Obviously now it's not considered a.
Has it changed much? It
hasn't changed much. I think it was more of a West Coast. Well, yeah, so it has a little bit. It was more of a West Coast when we first did it, because those were the sorts of styles that people, the IPAs you were getting over, people were brewing in the UK. But over time we have softened the bitterness a little bit, because that's kind of where people's tastes have gone. They want slightly mellower IPAs, I guess. They still want West Coast, but for your everyday sort of core range beers, people want something a bit more drinkable. So we have dropped the bitterness, but yeah, that was the beer that started where we started. Now it's not considered a mega dry hops beer at all, and it's quite it's kind of a standard in regards to the amount of hops we use. It's not like overly dry hops. No. But it's I think it's the only beer from our core range, our original core range, that we brew still. So a lot of them we've kind of changed and updated, So
many people, you obviously you were inspired by great beers from the States and elsewhere in the globe. I mean, was there any beer or brewery at the time that really kind of inspired you and lit that fire to make that sort of beer?
I think there was lots of there was a few sort of breweries starting up around when I was thinking of starting a brewery, but yeah, I can't specifically remember any other than the sort of I like wowed me as much as the Colonel at the time. So the Colonel, obviously down in Bermondsey, Evan, they've consistently brewed amazing beers from the get-go, and they
inspiration to so many.
Absolutely. And the beers are amazing, and always have been. And at the time when I was thinking of starting the brewery as well, I was looking at different equipment and stuff like that, and the equipment we actually bought was from the same company that the Colonel bought their tanks from. So I dropped a line to Evan. I was just some kid, I suppose, who's like wants to start a brewery, and he was very generous with his time, showed me around. I asked some silly questions, I guess, and about the kit and stuff like that, and it was very. Yeah,
great stuff.
Generous.
Great stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why Evan and his brewery and his beers are still so respected. There is that generosity of spirit, but staying true to your roots as well, making so many different great beers. So more power to him. Obviously, jump forward a little. We've got some newer beers here as well, but some classics. We need to talk about Crunch, because that has become a bit of a mainstay. I mean, how old's that beer now?
So Crunch is, I want to say, I think it's about 6 years. So just over 6 years, I'd imagine. So reason why I'm remembering now is because part of the reason we brewed it was because to commemorate my daughter's birth. So
fantastic.
She's got her name on the back of the can.
Oh, beautiful.
So now she's 6 years old. I can show it to her and she kind of understands it. But, So Crunch was a beer that, again, an experimental beer that we kind of, I wanted to try out, and I think I tried something similar in the States, and a style similar, and I was like, why is no one doing in the UK brewing something like this? So we kind of twisted the idea of it a little bit, and did lots of experiments, and we released it. I think it was a Craft Beer Rising way back when, one of a London Beer Festival, and essentially it was like massive hit from the get-go. It was supposed to be a special. We brewed it, and I think we sold, say, 12 kegs of this particular beer at one beer festival. We had to keep coming back to the brewery, bringing more kegs, and it's been really popular. And sort of off the back of that, it kind of fell into our core range, because it was just so much demand for it, and great reviews and feedback from
it's a
people
fun
trying
beer, but it's delicious as well. And it's almost that style of like peanut butter stouts has almost become its own subgenre. I feel like now, not just adjunct sweet imperial stout, actual peanut butter as a base with so many other ingredients.
It was the style of that again. Like although it's it's a peanut butter milk stout, it sounds like it could be quite sickly and rich. It's actually. I think it's pretty balanced. It's not overpowering in any way. So some people may find it a little bit, but most people try it. They're surprised that actually it's not as rich or as sickly as they might think it is. It's actually really well balanced, and that kind of goes down to our ethos of if we brew anything, it has to taste good. It has to be, it might be a little bit niche in one area, but it still needs to stand up and be a beer that people will actually drink. So,
and I think you probably know what you're going to get yourself into with a beer like that. But it's great to be able to convince people that might think they're not going to like it and go, oh, actually, this is all right. So we're going from a fun beer, 6 years old, to, am I right in thinking, your biggest seller? Yeah,
Panama. So Panama was another a special we did. Originally it was like we branded it as an extra pale ale. Now we're sort of moving over to a session IPA because it's kind of more understandable beer style. But it's a crisp reasonably hoppy, American style pale ale.
Has it always been gluten free?
No, it wasn't. We bought that maybe after a couple of years of brewing it. We decided to make it gluten free, and it was kind of. It was as part of the core range, and it was selling well, probably similar to N7. And the last couple of years, I'm not entirely sure why it's taken off so much, but it's consistently sort of grown in sales, and it's probably sells, at least 2.5, 3 times more than anything else.
Wow.
So I think the reason behind it is it's a great sessionable beer.
Yep.
It's it's an easy drinking pint, 4%.
Yep.
It's nice and hoppy, but still crisp, but it's not too hoppy, so that it's a bit cloying or nice. So it's really drinkable, and I think the branding's great as well. So that's kind of
without a doubt. I mean, do you think the gluten free is that a sort of?
I think it helps. Yeah, I think it helps, but it's difficult to quantify how much the gluten free aspect of it.
And there's so many great gluten-free beers now. It's a really great side of recent brewing. I feel like so many breweries are doing that.
There's a lot of gluten-free beers out there, some great ones as well, and 100% that will add to the demand for it as well. So I guess some of the bars we have it on constantly, they want at least one gluten-free option, so they. So
it's a great one to have.
That as an option. Yeah.
So when it comes to new beers, new recipes, what's that process look like here at Hammerton?
Well, it depends on which way we're going with the beer. If it's extremely experimental, using ingredients we've never used before, then we have our pilot kit. So we've got like 100, I think it's 150 litre pilot kit, and like a nice like baby conical fermentation vessel. So we just brew it on that first. So one of the most exotic beers we do is chicha. It's called chicha sour. The co-founder, my wife Karina, she's Peruvian, so she's obviously her influence, and I've travelled to Peru a few times, and there's a drink over there, soft drink that they use using Peruvian corn, and that was a beer that I'm not sure if we have a can up there.
It's beautiful.
So we it was a really interesting soft drink, and using purple Peruvian corn, maize morada, and we desperately wanted to try and make a beer out of that. So we tried that on the pilot kit, and essentially we made a pale ale initially, and that did okay, but then we kind of thought about it more and thought it just worked better as a sour beer. So eventually it morphed into sour beer. So
great stuff.
But so yeah, that's kind of on the more experimental style. But when you're talking about, say, like sours, so we normally have a sour in stock of some kind. So, and often it's a fruited sour. So we've brewed so many like fruited sours now that we just kind of, we have a base recipe for our sours, and if we know we're going to use apricot and mango or something like that, we kind of got a rough idea on the quantities to use, so it's a bit more easy recipe development for us. And also with the stouts as well, we've done so many experimental stouts using different ingredients that now we kind of we know what sort of base stout recipe to use, and then we just got to kind of work out how much of the other ingredients we use to get the kind of the right flavor profile, really.
So tell us a bit about your lovely brewery here. I mean, what's the sort of normal batch size that you?
So we're 15 barrels, which is 2,200 litres, and so we brew mostly, almost every day at the moment. Sometimes we do double brews as well. So 2,200 litres. We've always had this kit, so we've got the same kit we've used. We kind of started, I suppose, relatively big for a startup brewery, say 10 years ago. So we've kind of grown into our kit. We've added quite a lot of fermentation vessels over the years. So we have, like, you can't really see them here, but behind the mezzanine, there's some double.
It's a really good use of space.
Yeah,
so I got distracted now. I think maybe the brewery dog was trying to make
possibly,
entrance into the shot. So is that your dog?
That's Hoppy,
Hoppy,
the Westie,
beautiful breed, breed. And you've got a great team here as well. I mean, how many people do you employ?
So I think we're about 11 or 12.
Okay.
12. So we have 3 brewers, 3 salespeople, plus sales manager, myself and Karina, and someone who looks, a warehouse manager who looks after warehouse and delivery driver. So and then we have staff. So we have maybe 2 or 3 permanent staff that run our pub, which is on Holloway Road, and also the tap room. And then we have quite a 5 or 6 sort of temporary staff that we use.
Okay. So we're talking obviously about your fantastic team here, a team that you're obviously very proud of, especially when we have City of Cake here, which is now officially an award-winning beer. Yeah. Care to tell us a little more?
So I think, so last month, was it March? Last month, it was put forward because it won a gold at the SEBA Southeast competition. So anyway, all the different regions in the UK, if they win an award, then they obviously, they go through to the final in Liverpool. So City Cake went into the final with a few other beers we had, and it ended up winning best. I think it was, speciality stout in it. So it won its best category, and then at the end of the competition, they pick a overall winner. So the best cask beer in the whole competition, the whole of the UK, and it won.
Wow.
So it was quite I mean, we know it's a great beer, but that was quite a surprise to actually have that kind of accolade.
And it's great to have that beer. Obviously, works so well in in different formats as well. Different expressions, and obviously I imagine you'll be making people very aware going forward, potential cask customers.
We just released a new batch of it in cask, because it's actually quite rare to find it in cask. Although we brew cask, we kind of, it's maybe 20%, if that, of our cask versus keg production. So we're predominantly a keg producing brewery. We still sort of strongly want to keep brewing cask beer because we're big fans of cask. But
how much of it's your production does it kind of account for?
So it would be sort of, I guess, I guess it'd probably be around 15% overall.
Of cask beer.
Yeah, maybe less than that. I'd have to check. So yeah, we decided that we were just going to stick to a small core range of cask, which is pretty much N7 and N1, so pale ale and IPA in cask, and that's it. Apart from occasionally we do specials such as, so yeah, we've done a batch of City of Cake because we've been having a lot of people ask for it since we won the award.
Yeah, of course.
And yes, we've just brewed a batch of that, released it, and that's probably pretty much all sold out now, I think. So
you're doing, as you said, a small considered cask range. I think that's what a lot of pubs are doing these days. Isn't it? You know, do a few things, but do them well.
Yeah, exactly. So N1, we only brew it in cask now. We don't brew it on keg. We don't put it into can, and it's like, so the only vessel you can find it in is cask. N7 is across all formats, but yeah, we just wanted to just concentrate on those two beers, and I think for us those are the beers that work best in cask for us. So and yeah, so we just do them and do them well, as you said, and very sensible,
very sensible. And from one dark beer to another, we have Tint, which obviously in addition to the range last couple of years, London Nitro Stout. Obviously, don't need to tell you. You know, seems to be a real resurgence and a real consumer demand for great stouts these days.
Yeah, so people are more interested in stouts than they used to be, I guess. There's always been a sort of slightly niche following for stouts, but it seems like there's a more broader consumer base that likes stouts nowadays. And yes, we brewed Tint maybe 2 and a bit years ago. Fairly experimental to start with for us, because we're not every other beer we brew using CO2, but obviously it's a nitro stout, so it's nitrogenated as opposed to carbonated. So it's a new style and for us, and it's gone from strength to strength really. It's we initially brewed it in keg, and it's been selling really well for us. So it pretty quickly moved into the core range. Unfortunately, at the sacrifice of Pentonville, which is our oatmeal stout, but it's just kind of taken off with sales. And yeah, there seems to be quite a demand and an appetite for sort of nice creamy. Tight head on stouts.
I feel like obviously Guinness sales are always just monumental. Yeah, but I do feel like the last couple of years, the appetite for Guinness has really come back. Maybe I don't know if it ever went away, to be honest. But also, great proper pubs to drink these beers in. Yeah. And I think the great thing is obviously great breweries like yourselves, Ansbach and Hop Day, and so on and so forth. Making these alternatives where it's like enjoy them all, I guess.
There's as you say about Guinness, it's there's been a great sort of has been a massive increase. Like obviously people have always loved Guinness, but there's been a big increase since coming out of COVID. I don't know if it's to do with how a nitro stout looks, because they look amazing. They look like the perfect beer to drink. But coming out of lockdown, there's been a massive sort of extra demand now for those styles of beers. So
long may it continue. I mean, and obviously there's a bit of a history with Hammerton and stouts. Care to tell us a little bit more about the sort of the history of Hammerton? So
I'm distant relatives of the Hammerton clan that used to brew in South London, Stockwell, back in I suppose late 1800s. I think they finished up maybe in the 40s or something like that. But they what the original Hammerton Brewery was well known for was an oyster stout.
Yeah, so, 1938, I believe.
That's right. So believed to be certainly the first in Europe. Possibly, there's arguments it was the first in the world, but definitely the first in Europe. And when I started the brewery, I kind of wanted to, or resurrected, and some people say, like, I wanted to brew beers that I liked, and I thought other people like modern style beers, but they're the oyster stout was kind of this backstory of the oyster stout was really interesting. So that was a beer that I always wanted to to brew. So that was our second beer we brewed. So we brewed this oyster stout Pentonville, and it kind of had quite a big cult following for us, and people loved it. It's still we haven't brewed it for a couple of years, but we will bring it out in a special at some point again. But it's definitely a beer that sort of is well liked and adored, and it's got a nice history. So.
It seems fitting that you've continued, be it, the sort of more fun beers, shall we say? But stouts have been real backbone of the Hammerton story, really.
Again, obviously we had a bit of a background because of Pentonville, which at the time an oyster stout was maybe regarded a little bit experimental back in the day. Now it's not, obviously, but once we brewed Crunch and the popularity of that, it kind of became, I guess we were quite confident after we've done Crunch that we could, just experiment with all kinds of things, and hope, and the chances are we're going to make something good if it's well thought out. So that kind of started us off on a big sort of stout journey, I think.
It's a bit of a calling card, I think, for you now. And the sours, that's why I like it. It's a real breadth of styles here.
So a lot of people know us for our stouts because of Crunch, City Cake, and a few other ones we do. But ultimately, I guess the sales of our stouts are considerably less than our kind of everyday core range beers. So our Panama, as an example, our pale ales, our IPAs, and even our lager as well.
Sure.
So, we also do sours as well, and which we're probably least known for our sours, but we brew a lot of them. So come summertime, which we're slowly edging towards.
Yeah. Hopefully, it feels like a long winter.
Absolutely. So our sours really, really popular, and we brew them and they sell really quickly. So now we're getting into sort of the warmer months. That's what we'll be brewing a lot of. So
amazing. So obviously, great stouts, great sours, but the lesser seen, perhaps, Zed, in a sense of, not getting the spotlight on the conversation so far until now, but a fantastic, low alcohol, beautiful beer.
So I want to say, I think it was maybe 3 years ago, we started to think about alcohol-free beer. We started to research how it could be done. How could you make a beer that hasn't got alcohol taste good,
and what process direction did you take?
So we spoke to the guys from Lallemand, and they helped us a bit with research and how to go about things, and we did, using our pilot kit, actually we did quite a few brews on that to get it right. Essentially it's about sort of, we use the same yeast, but we're mashing in at higher temperatures and trying to get the perfect temperature where there's just enough sort of the yeast to deal with and not convert too much of the sugars into alcohol, basically. And it was a massive challenge to get it right.
How long did it take until you were happy with it?
I guess it was over about 6 months. It was quite, I think there's more research and information about how to make alcohol-free beers now, but
you were ahead of the game a little.
3 years ago there wasn't at all.
No.
So and it was very much trial and error, and it's one of the beers I'm most proud of. I think brewers are most proud of as well, because it's a good beer. And we started off brewing it despite not having alcohol in it. We started brewing it the first sort of few times. We weren't selling much of it at all, and now we sell as much of that in can as any other beer.
Wow.
So it's grown, and we've got a few sites. We've got a decent amount of fixed line sites that sell alcohol-free beer on Zed on tap.
Right.
So it's and people, as much as we all like drinking, I get, alcoholic beer or real beer, as you might say, people do generally, still drink beer and occasionally want to have an alcohol-free beer as well, or they don't drink at all, but they want to go out with their friends and kind of not feel like out of place. So,
and we're fortunate now that there are so many good options out there. It's you're no longer sort of marginalized, with just having to choose one or two pretty basic options, I guess. So and so we've said obviously that's done really, really well. Could you see yourself doing any other styles in the sort of no and low space?
So we've done Crunch AF actually, so alcohol free version of Crunch, and we've done one called Fudge City, which is pretty similar to City of Cake. So those beers are really good as well. They're very niche, I guess, for the alcohol free. The alcohol free market is still growing, but the demand for, say, like niche stouts and pastry stouts is relatively low at the moment. It's going to get bigger, but so we I would 100% like to do more alcohol-free beer, but it's just as and when the time comes when the market kind of needs it, I suppose.
Of course.
But for now, we mainly concentrate on Zed or Pale Ale, and
why not? So obviously an award-winning start to the year with City of Cake, which is a great way to kick off 2024, I guess. I mean, have you got any sort of grand plans or goals that you're able to share with us today?
I guess so we're going to have a big party in August for our 10-year anniversary, so hopefully we'll try and get as many people as we can that have supported us over the years, friends, family, locals, and get them to come down here and have a bit of a knees up.
Mikel Arteta, guest of honour.
He'll get his invite. We'll see if he turns up. But we've got a few ideas. We haven't kind of made the final decisions on what beers we're going to do, but we're going to hopefully have a few collaboration brews. Great. And some new beers at the time. We've also got quite a few. Can't see them in shot of the camera, but up in the mezzanine we have some barrel aging beers up there. Beautiful. So we'll be finally emptying some of those, and so the plan is to have some of those ready for this
good things
this
come
year.
To those who wait.
And then just sort of carrying on the trajectory we are. Sort of we just producing the best beer we can, and just keeping things interesting, and
amazing. So we're looking at August potentially for those birthday celebrations.
Absolutely.
And until then, Lee, for people that want to visit here in House of Hammerton, what are sort of regular opening hours that you have for visitors?
So our tap room here where we're sitting, this is open Thursday 4:00 till Thursday from 4. And then we're open until Sunday. So so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, basically.
Fantastic.
So, and our pub, which is as the crow flies, a couple of miles that way, that's open Tuesday, more sort of pubby hours, I guess. So open Tuesday till Sunday. So
great stuff. And what's the web address we have for the online store for people that can't make it?
So it's hammertonbrewery.co.uk.
Amazing. Well, Lee, here's 10 more, and well done, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Tim. Cheers.
Thanks everyone joining us today, and thanks to Lee Hammerton, the co-founder of Hammerton Brewery, for his time. So keep your eyes peeled for the birthday celebrations in August, and before then make sure you come down and visit the brewery and enjoy the beers here too. See you next time.
Thank you.